99% of your personality ain't your personality. It's old coping mechanisms or things you learned through your life as a response to hard things and trauma, i.e., you don't have to hold on to any of the ones that don't serve you anymore.
Okay, everybody, welcome to another episode of The Pursuit with Dr. Pat. I'm Dr. Pat, and today is very special for me because it touches on what I think a lot of men may not convey. I think it touches on what the human relationship is with man and wife. I think it touches on what, the four F's: faith, family, fitness, and finances. And when I met this woman, I knew instantly that there's some type of synergy there with, I guess, not only business, but just where we've been in both of our lives. And not only just recovering from things, not necessarily recovering, but bouncing back from things, that failure quotient versus IQ, but also actually thriving, right? That's two different things. So I think a lot of people really understand themselves, but feel stuck in the same patterns. And this woman, she's a psychotherapist focused on identity, and we'll really get into that today. Emotional regulation and relation patterns, right? As Tony Robbins says, it's pattern recognition, utilization, and ultimately pattern creation. She's the creator of Sit with Sarah. So very interested to see how that plays out. She's phenomenal. She helps people understand what's actually happening beneath the surface. I think we all want to get to the Band-Aid, and she's known for translating very complex internal experiences into language that people can not only finally recognize in themselves, but do something about it. And she specializes in identity disruption, which is phenomenal, emotional overwhelm, and unconscious behavioral patterns. Sarah's work is centered on helping people not just understand themselves, but more importantly, actually do something about it and change. Sarah Shortridge, welcome to The Pursuit.
Thank you, Pat. Thank you. Wow, I wish I was as great as that sounded.
No, it's such a pleasure to have you on. And we do that because sometimes people need to hear just how much they've done and how much they've gone through. And I think that once you really look down, I don't want to say resume, but just at your life's work,
Yeah.
it's a lot, right? It's a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. I always say I'm a cat. I've lived 9 lives. When you look
Right?
back, I've lived 9 lives. Like, how am I only 44? I've lived at least 12 of those.
And it seems to me, at least, it really hit me about right when I turned 40.
Yeah.
And it's that midlife crisis, whatever it says, but
Yeah.
it really helped reform my identity. So the question that everybody gets, Sarah, what are we in pursuit of right now?
I'm in pursuit of building something a little bigger outside of sessions. So I'm looking to build a community. And the way I envision to start that is through a podcast, because so many of us suffer in silence. I'll dive into my story in a minute with you, but I was pretty public about it, which I get plenty of criticism about, plenty of backlash, but I also got some really cool connection and people reaching out, people that I had known for years, suffering in very similar ways that I had no idea. We suffer in silos, in silence, because of shame and embarrassment, because of what it's going to look like. But the most healing I had was just people in my DMs and us connecting over it. So I really want to build a podcast where people come and share their woes, right? Other people can hear they're struggling with the same thing, but then also be met with community of people around it. So that's on the horizons. That's what I'm in pursuit of right now.
It's phenomenal. And as we've talked before, like the pattern recognizer in you, is that more of just extrapolating your talent, your potential, or is it more of also seeing it as a perfect timing that as technology further and further isolates us, we need a community to connect with?
Absolutely. We were in this rule of juxtaposition. We're always connected, but never actually connected. So
Right.
It's a likened to a marriage where they become roommates. It's the loneliest feeling, more than even being single, because you feel like you're supposed to feel connected. I see so-and-so's kids, I watch this, I watch that, but I can't even share this realness in my life. So it leads to this depth of emptiness. And so I've been told I bring the realness, right? I use F-bombs in my sessions, not very Freudian of me, right?
Yeah.
But that's what I want to bring, is the realness to this space. And I have a lot of clinical training. I've nerded out. I've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars But really, that doesn't matter if I can't bring safety into the room. If the person can't feel safe sharing their biggest, deepest, darkest secrets or challenges or be real, be afraid of judgment. But we need more of that in our life all around. So I really just want to bring a community together, a podcast where people can come get free coaching, free therapy for those who can't afford it, but also then someone can see themselves in that and maybe relate.
And actually, I was saying this to myself. I don't know why, but something really bugged me about. I heard, and it triggered in me. Don't worry. I was projecting. I was projecting because I curse, play college basketball, but I curse. But I also consider myself a Christian.
Christian,
And
yes.
and right, that all of the different denominations of Christianity, it's like, if you curse,
Yeah, you're a bad
you're a
person.
bad person. But
Yeah.
also, I think of it as, for me, it's like, hey, you're effing doing a great job. So really, it's like a celebratory thing. However, being aware of that, but it's also, that's just who I am. I'm
I
not.
was gonna say, Pat, that might not be who you are. So the reason why an F-bomb like works with you sit with me because that's me. Like everyone, my kids
Yes.
joke, Sarah can't help it, Christian or not. I was raised by a truck driver father in Chicago. It's just punctuation. It's a comma to me. But
There you
that's
go. It's a
not
punctual.
like, yeah, it's for my husband. If he said that, it would be like outrageous and inauthentic. So it's not necessarily the F bomb, but it's just that I don't feel the need to be overly clinical, even though I'm clinically trained and I am using those things as we're human to human first and foremost. And an F bomb is authentic to me. Unless that offends you, of course, I'll reel it in. But
No,
you know,
and I feel like that's implicit in that statement, right? If we go one layer deep, it's like implicitly you're judging me, Mr. Christian or Mrs. Christian.
right.
So you're not supposed to judge.
But
So
I know you're actually judging you, so don't worry.
I know it's so I've been on several conferences like, oh, you curse? I'm like, yes, I curse. But you're right, it's a punctuation. So
Punctuation.
don't worry, I'm already projecting. I'm already projecting. But and I think also people need to realize that it's okay if we say we spent hundreds of thousands of dollars because you're
Yeah.
trying to find out every way that you could potentially be wrong. So you can
Yeah.
actually bring to light what's correct. So I think that people are so quick to judge versus be curious of just how much you've done. And we're gonna unravel
Right.
that, right? We're gonna unravel that today.
That's
So
there. You just unlocked my life theme. My life theme, right, is if we approach everything and everyone with curiosity instead of judgment, you're going to get so much further in
no,
life.
uh, it's unequivocal, no doubt about it. Before we get into the story, I would love to ask you this. And I take copious notes because I always learn more by writing with a pen. So don't worry,
Same.
I'll be writing.
I knew we were kindred spirits. I have a paper planner. Okay.
Yeah, it's right
Yeah.
here.
Love it. Love it.
So I would love to hear, like right now, 2026, April the 28th, what is Sarah helping people understand about themselves that's currently missing?
You touched on it already.
Mhm.
First of all, you can't change. I don't like to say fix because I don't what you're doing wasn't broken at some point. Everything you did served you at some point.
Sure.
So we don't want to shame it, but getting curious. But people come with a laundry list. I love when they come with a laundry list. These are all the things I'd like to change about myself. I'm like, sorry, wrong person. I'm not here to change you at all. What I want is for you to actually see something to the point where you can't unsee it. Because
Yes.
once you actually see what's driving you, you can't go back to operating the same way. Once you know why you're doing what you're doing, now we have choice. But that can only happen with curiosity and not judgment.
Let's just stand on that for a second. What would you say is like one takeaway someone could have from listening to this that they could give them a little bit of self-awareness? And
Yeah.
not to bring
Yeah.
religion into this a lot, but I see in the religious community, because I'm in small groups,
Yeah.
those become some of the most toxic discussions, at least for me, in my experience, because there's so much judgment.
Yes. Yes.
And I'm
Yes.
like,
So
what? Where aren't we all here to listen to what everybody's doing? But then all of a sudden, then I ask myself, oh, I'm judging. No, I'm judging,
I'm judging, they're
right?
judging.
Exactly. And then it's that cascading effect, Sarah.
How dare they judge? Let me
Yeah.
judge for judging.
How dare they
Uh,
judge? I'm leaving. These people. Okay. Okay.
It shows you how human we are. And the judging comes from, and we all know this, like you said, projection. but it's true. I actually innately am one of the most judgy people, okay, before I went through my training. It was really actually terrible for me when I realized I was like, I am a bitch. I didn't think I was, but I am. But that's because I realized I was horribly judgmental of myself. So how we treat ourselves and think about ourselves, that's what we're going to also put out into the world. So I can't find compassion for you if I haven't found any from me. So the one, I guess, nugget that I want someone to take away with, every single thing you've done, this is really controversial, Pat, so you're probably going to cut this out, but
No,
okay.
no, I'm not. There's no cuts in this.
Even in addictions. When I worked in addictions, I said, what did that do for you? Your drug of choice. And it was like a trick question. They're looking around. Nothing. It ruined my life. Like the standard answer ruined my life. I was like, no, no, no. It did something for you. It protected you somehow. It did
Yeah.
serve you somehow at one point, or you wouldn't have done it. If we can step aside from the shame and the judgment and see what need it was meeting, now we can find a healthier approach to that need. So that really, it truly is that curiosity and removing the judgment. I also, my little trick of the trade is to break out like a younger picture of you. Even like for drugs, you started when you're 15, 16. I want you to look at that younger picture. I want you to look at that person and curse them out and tell them how awful they were. Usually it's a childhood picture too, because the need is origin is from there. You maybe not started drugs till you're 16, but it's from the need that did get met at 4, 5, 6, or 7. Pull up that baby picture of yourself. Tell them what an effing loser they are. Tell them what an effing F up they are. It's really hard to do.
You're hitting on all this stuff, right? Hitting on all this stuff. And, anybody that's known me the first video, and I think that that's why someone approached me about doing a podcast was I didn't know it. My team was videoing me, Sarah, letting them know about my brain scan. And it
I
was
know.
the SPECT imaging that my whole life, people like, Pat, are you struggling with alcohol? And I would drink every 7 to 10 days,
Sure.
not good, not responsibly. And they're like, we're really worried about you. What happened is I had, funny enough, it's cannabis induced dissociative disorder, trauma disorder, because when I was young, I was 15 and then I was
Yeah.
21, my brain disassociated because my amygdala was firing so much that it basically short circuited your brain. So again, that protection,
It
and then
protected you from having a psychotic break.
it,
Literally.
you're exactly right.
Mhm.
And now then you're right. Other people go into psychosis. So
Yeah.
now this has been my 25-year. This is exactly why I'm getting the doctorate, is because I'm like, I have to know. And then wouldn't you know, about 5 months ago, I finally see that brain scan, and it's 30 years of looking at that kid and being like,
Mhm.
what, you knew something was up, and you're
You
able
just
to actually give that person some compassion. So
yeah.
it's, and I'll wear that heart on my sleeve. Like if a client won't work with me because of past
Yeah.
indiscretions,
Yeah.
you're not for me anyway. That's all right.
Yeah. That's
So
okay.
yeah,
And that actually, you can say that so genuinely. That also took me a long time.
yeah,
I said, I should not, I remember like being so fearful. What if a client leaves me? What if I'm not this? And my supervisor was like, if a client doesn't leave you, you need to look yourself in the mirror. You shouldn't
yes,
be for everybody. If you're
yes,
for everybody, essentially you're being fake. And that's true in life, Pat, right? My husband really struggles with this. He's the quintessential good guy, people pleaser. Everyone loves him. There's not a human on earth that doesn't love him. And I had to challenge him one day. I was like, someone should not love you because you're not living authentically. And there's someone out there, right? You should trigger something in someone. We don't need to be everything for everybody, right? That's not the way, that'd be a boring world, right? We need the flavor, we need the different fonts, we need different people to drive. Friendships are special. Why? Because I chose you over someone else to spend time with, to let into my special place, into my vulnerability. That's what makes it special. If I do it for everyone, it's not so special anymore. So you don't need to be for everyone. Everyone's got different depths and journeys and stops and importance and priorities and what they can handle and they can't handle. And so you said it beautifully. Not everyone's for you, and that's okay.
Do you see everybody? Why she's on? Please sit with Sarah. Call her up. Would you like to be my therapist? Um, so as we pivot just a slight bit,
Yeah.
because you're just a wealth of knowledge, and not, I hate to say knowledge, but knowledge is one thing.
Experience.
But you've taken it to wisdom. And I love to
Yeah.
say this, that people know enough about the subject to think they're right, but they don't challenge themselves enough to find enough about a subject to think they potentially could be wrong. And then what you've opened my eyes to is you've gone that realm. You're still in it, but you've done it to plug up the leaks as so you can help out yourself,
Yeah.
right? As far
Yeah.
as helping out others. So take me back, Sarah, if you will, just a little bit to that period where things or life maybe seemed unraveled for you.
If you want to say atomic bomb, then yes, we could do that. I wasn't lucky enough to have things kind of unravel. So actually, it was just a little over a year ago on Christmas Day. Every single thing that I knew, trusted in, understood about my life just hit. Atomic bomb, truly, right? One Christmas, the one before, I'm sitting in the Eiffel Tower having Christmas dinner with my kids on a 3-week European vacation.
What?
Yes. And 1 year later, I'm opening my kid's Christmas present to return for food and knocking on my neighbor's door and saying, I need money. I literally can't feed my kids. I need money. So it's crazy the difference in it. But what was the real realization for me is I lost it all. I think we can gather the monetary, right? I lost everything monetary. My husband of 16 years, one of the best men I know, still to this day, got addicted to day trading, lost all of our money, our kids' college, our retirement, rental properties, got us $500,000 in debt, all unbeknownst to me or them. And it all unraveled on Christmas Day. And as that happened, it wasn't even all my monetary is gone. I was like, I don't even know who I am. Who am I? What is this? Because when the tide goes out, you don't just lose the water. It exposes everything that's been underneath the whole time. And
What
that
what what was exposed that you found for you that at least to the surface the soonest?
Yeah, my whole identity was so wrapped in my roles as a mother, as a businesswoman, as the 3-week vacationer in Europe, the traveler. I've been to 40 countries. But what was really hiding underneath that is I was overfunctioning, way overfunctioning in every relationship, completely martyring myself in these relationships. There was issues in my marriage, which if you had asked me before that day, I would be like, no marriage is perfect. Mine is literally almost. We never fought. We co-parented beautifully. We went on dates. We slapped each other's butt while making dinner, genuinely, right? We loved each other. We traveled the world together. But underneath was avoidance, was my overfunctioning. Underneath all of that, when you peel it all back, I had a role to play in it too. And that was really hard to face. It's really hard to face. I could have stayed just focused on what he did, but then that wouldn't have changed anything in me. But trust me, it took me a while to get there. I did stay there for a minute. I parked, but I realized one day it's here, it's arrived. What are you gonna do with it?
The two key aspects of that really stand out. First of all, thank you for sharing that.
Mm,
Not everybody's that open. That's raw, real, and it's not too long ago, right? But it
yeah.
also shows me that like I'll do the same thing with Jill. You'll be like, "Hey, good game." Like athlete, like
Yeah.
she'll be
Yeah.
making
Yeah.
dinner, I'll be making dinner, and I think that that's that love. However, what do you say to the woman that is you? A lot throughout the United States is they are over functioning as a mom. They're having potential. I didn't do this. Oh, I didn't go to the gym, or I didn't do this. And then now, like we talked about, unexplained expectations are
Yes.
predetermined resentments.
Yes.
Hey, you didn't do the laundry, or you didn't do this, and then it becomes a you game. So what does that over functioning? How did you define it for yourself?
First of all, it's a super uncomfortable place to move from pointing to kind of looking, right, in yours.
Yeah.
Because what you just described is looking at what they're doing wrong. Oh, he's not doing this. He's not doing this. No, I was working 75 hours a week. I was bringing home the bacon. He worked, but he was home. But I came home and cleaned the house. He didn't force that upon me on top of a 75-hour work week. I refused to hire a cleaner. I did this. And I would blame him, right? I had those little resentments building up. I would never voice them because how could I possibly martyr myself if I voice them, right? How could I possibly be woe is me, poor with me, or I'm everything if I voice them truly, right? And so that over functioning really, this is really hard for people. People pleasing, over functioning is really selfish. And I know like people pleasers out there are always like, what? No, I give everything to everyone, but you give everything to everyone for you because you have to manage how everyone sees you. You have to manage how you feel that you are worthy enough. If you do everything right, if you're everything to everyone, then they will see me.
Say that again. Say that again. I always say like Mel Robbins. Like, say it for the back. So say that again about like the martyr. What are they doing?
So people pleasing is
Yeah.
actually a selfish act because what you're doing and people pleasing or over functioning, same thing, is you're controlling everyone's view of you. You're trying to control the other person's view of you. It's not
Oh,
for
I
them.
gotcha. I
Yeah,
gotcha.
it's not for them. It's so everyone can see you how you need them to see you. And that was certainly me. Absolutely without a doubt. I needed to be seen as the hard worker. I needed to be seen as the perfect wife, but also the businesswoman, but also this because I had deep, and I still do, I'm still working on it, deep unworthy feelings. Just this complete unworthiness. I'm only worthy if. So I needed everyone to see I'm kicking butt at business, but I'm also a mom, but I'm also the bestest wife. And I needed down to my husband, not even the outside world. I needed to see that. I needed my kids to see that. I needed my husband to see that. And so when this first happened, it was like, fuck him, of course, for sure, absolutely. And everyone rallies behind that, right? I even had a therapist tell me, I was like, I've had two husbands. Okay, not a lot of people know this. Both ended pretty similarly, where I was really taken advantage of, money and otherwise. I had to sit there and say, 2 out of 2, I may not have deserved it, but I'm a main ingredient in this recipe. I need to take a look. There is still a main ingredient, and that's me. And my first therapist was like, no, this is not on you at all, blah, blah. And I had to find a new therapist. Because while he definitely had other choices, I definitely didn't deserve this. And I'm not going to take on his stuff. My stuff was also in there. So one of my favorite concepts in my coaching and therapy is called both and. People are always, it's his fault or it's your fault. It's this, you had a bad marriage or you had a good marriage. And 99.9% of the time, it's both and. It was both his fault and I had a part in it. We had a great marriage and we had a bad marriage in ways that we avoided the real stuff, the hard stuff. So it's like people come at you like giving, martyr, think, okay, now I'm a good person, right? This makes me a good person, or now I'm successful, or whatever it is. But when you boil it down, you're just trying to control other people's image of you. And that's certainly what I was doing.
You're speaking too much reality here today. What coincidentally is Jill has got me on this. It's just Jill. No wonder I love her so much. She got me to, again, we're best friends, and I know that's like with good relationships, with good relationships, people are like, oh, okay, you're really your best friend. Like, she really is. There's no one else in this world that knows more about me.
Yeah.
All the different ways one could. So she had started to say about a week ago or 2 weeks ago, hey, Pat, both things can be true.
So it's Jill.
So I liken that as a very good analogy to you're both and.
Yeah.
Okay, Pat, not is right or wrong, which it sounded like that to me. I love it. Both and is going in. I might even just put it right behind this because behind the camera here, I'm just going to put it there, both and.
Pat, there's an evolutionary. Now I have to go back to why this serves you because that's always me, okay? And you love the brain as much. So I worked with neurosurgeons for 12 years and I really nerded out.
I didn't know that.
So you can stop me at any point because I'm like a brain fanatic. I took a specialized training in all in the brain. But anyways, the evolutionary reason we are black and white, good and bad, yes or no, serves us. If we had to sit around contemplating both sides to everything, is it good, bad, this, that, we would just sit and think all day. That's all we would have time to do. You couldn't have time to do anything. Is coffee good for me or bad for me? I have to sit here and contemplate this for 20 minutes before I pour a cup. Is this wireless mouse putting brainwaves in my brain? I have to contemplate. It has to be good, bad, yes, no. This is for efficiency, so we can go about our day. This is why I believe almost everyone needs coaching or therapy, because it's not that I'm so magical, although I used to love to believe that. The reality is it's a dedicated container where we can slow it down a little bit and point out these processes and say, yes, okay, you decided that for a reason, but it's not serving you here. And this is our dedicated time to slow it back, repeat it back here, and let's really dig in, because we couldn't do that all day. We would never get anything done. There's an absolutely beneficial evolutionary reason why we do that. It doesn't always serve us.
It makes sense. And again, I'm just, I guess for the audience, that where I've done compartmentalize that is the decision fatigue. It's like exactly why Jeff Bezos will not make a big decision after 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yes. Okay,
And-
so I'm ADHD.
Yeah.
I do a lot of trainings in that for my people. And this is what I say, you have to routinize every single thing you can. So let me give you an example, Pat. Every morning, back it up. Every night I set up my workout clothes, my work lunch and everything is ready. My bag is packed down to my socks and hair tie. Okay. Because I'm not making a decision to get up and work out and walk, and it's just done. I don't make a decision to make my bed every day. These are all autopilot. So that way I have decision capability when I get to work. If you don't know what time you're going to wake up, if you don't know if you're going to work out, if you don't know if you're going to eat healthy, if you don't know, you have no decisions left in you by the time an actual decision comes. You completely have drained yourself. It's a real thing. That's why you're not supposed to make it after a big event. After 2 o'clock, I like that. I'm a mom, so I don't get that. I don't get to do that. I don't, right?
That's what I was about to say. I mean, like with all people could be listening.
Yeah.
Moms out there, that this is why I did it. My mom's a single mother, no child support, 2 boys.
Yeah.
Our crazy asses were all over the place. Like I can't imagine. Anyway, so go ahead.
But you can do that, Pat. So for instance, for the single moms out there, I also do that with my kids. So they know there's no video games Monday through Friday, period, end of story, and 2 hours on Saturday and Sunday. So they come to me on a Thursday and say, Mom, so-and-so is on, can I play a video game? And I just say, what day is it? And then they tell me, and I was like, I'm confused. What are you asking me? There's certain rules that we have, but the rules are non-negotiable and they're consistent. So even for the single moms out there juggling everything, Pat, we are not through this. This is unfortunately for you, not a fairy tale Hollywood story. I'm still working 2 jobs. I was working 3. I am still in the thick of paying my debt off. And my marriage, I don't even know if it'll make it or not, but we're working on it and trying. This is not a happy bow ending. I'm in the middle of the mess. So I'm not that single mom, but I am that worn out mom that's 2 careers, 3 kids, 3 dogs, and a shaky marriage deep. So I still do it at home. There's just non-negotiables even at home. So my whole morning, my whole night, and the majority of my parenting is already automated. Now I can go kick ass at both my jobs.
Yeah. And if anybody listening, that's also research vetted by James Clear, Atomic Habits. That is Sharon Srivatsa, who's now the CEO of acquisition.com, who works with Alex and Layla Hermosi. And his dad taught him at a young age to develop your day the night before.
Oh, absolutely.
Again, this isn't Sarah talking to everybody. This is
Dang, I thought I invented that, Pat. I'm so bummed now.
No, I'm just saying that the research suggests. So with that said, though, I know that you and I talked and you described it, 2 very pivotal words: a living funeral.
Yes. Okay. People always look at me and say, what? But I am not yet to the point where I can say, I'm glad this happened because I learned so much. And I know I should be. And I know it would make me way more Instagram famous. I'm not there yet. I'm not. I know maybe someday, but I can pull out the living funeral. Okay. So I describe what happened to me as a living funeral in that everything was stripped away. Okay. All my comfort, all my security, all my safety, including relationships, not just money. My husband was my first safe person in my life. Okay. It was everything. But I got to see who showed up for me, who did it. That was just as telling, right? What mattered, what truly mattered in life. I was shocked by the people who showed up for me. some people showed up for me in such big ways that I was uncomfortable with it. I was like, I don't deserve this. I haven't been that good of a friend to you. I don't, people came out of the woodworks. I can't tell you how many people sent me money for that first year at the exact moment that I was crying because I didn't know I couldn't have my son's friends over and eat snacks. I was like, no, they can't eat that. We can afford that. Like, we can't even have any more. Or we need a gym shoes. Like, it was that dire for a long time. I had a friend from college. We hadn't spoke since college. Became Facebook friends, who knows when. But I'm sharing my story. Doesn't make a ton of money himself. Sent me $200 on the day that I was shaking and crying because I didn't know how I was going to grocery shop for my kids. And I felt so unworthy, but so loved, so supported. This is controversial too, so if you don't want to go there, you can tell me. But I was super suicidal. I actually swallowed pills at one point because it was just too much. I was working 3 jobs. I dropped down to 97 pounds, not on purpose. I just couldn't eat. I was throwing up. I was so beyond myself. And it was the first time that I was about to swallow pills that he sent that money, and it stopped me dead in my tracks because it wasn't the money. It was like, I don't deserve this kindness from this person, but it helped me see that I wasn't alone in it, right? There's people out there. So it truly felt like a living funeral. I got to see who cared about me, whose lives I touched and I never knew, who didn't show up for me. And that's not to shame them, but I did prioritize certain friendships after. Some people that I really thought were gonna ride hard and be for me because I had for them became invisible because I became too much. It was too uncomfortable for them. And I can't judge them on that. Not everyone has the capacity, but it's telling. And it showed me what was important. We got moved to a teeny tiny apartment. I don't know if the boys would love this, but the boys and I were sleeping on the floor in the apartment. So you could sleep by each other because we were all just so traumatized. I did have to kick my husband out for a while because he wouldn't stop and it became unsafe financially and otherwise.
Sure.
And so it was just me and my boys on the floor of this grotesque apartment after this big, beautiful $1 million home and traveling the world. It was intense. But man, did we see what mattered. I remember my son looking at me and telling me he got asked something in school. What did you learn from your parents? And I was like, oh, good Lord. After all this happening, like this question has to come. And he said, everything will be okay because we have each other. Oh, Pat.
Oh,
That wrecked me. Absolutely wrecked me. And I will be the first to admit, I still struggle with suicidal thoughts. It's something I work with quite often. I'm one of the few clinicians that's not afraid of it because now I know, I call it, she's your smoke alarm. Not just, but that's what it is. It is your system saying, it's too much. It's too much. We need something. That's connection. That's sleep. That's rest. That's food. It's something. So now I'm just like, we'll dig in a little bit here. Let's dig in. But in those moments, it felt like a living funeral. Like I got to see who cared, who didn't, what mattered, what,
and I'll say this. I think this is the first time I've said it publicly because I've thought of a lot of different ways. And I'm not saying to hear this and talk about me, but this is eliciting something in me that's just so, so, so personal. When I went through my DUI 8 years ago, which I built up a really nice practice at JP Morgan on the private client side. And literally in 1.5 hours, my 9-figure book of business I was managing was gone. And guess how many people called me to say, hey, how are you doing? Let's just say it. Fucking zero. Fucking zero.
Yep.
Then these guys who I helped and I were friends on that, they went and built their own $10 billion RAA. You know how many calls I've gotten to this day? Fucking zero. So you know what I said? You know what I said? I'm just gonna do it myself.
No, disconnect.
Yeah, I know. I did it myself. And now, let's just call a spade, is now because I got fortunate and I didn't give up, but guess what? I had a few thoughts like that. But one thing I did learn from AA was this, because I didn't know what was going on with me. Not that AA is bad, good, or indifferent. Okay.
Sure. Agree.
It's about taking its halt. Am I hungry? Am I angry? Yes. Am I lonely? Am I tired?
Tired.
Right? Halt. And I think, again, like with therapy, I think a bunch of people can learn some stuff from AA. All the 12 steps.
I mean, the steps. I think we should all go through the steps in life.
Yes.
You don't have to sit there and make amends and see and really dig into yourself. I mean, that's what a lot of my training is in. In fact, Pat, I don't know if you know this. My husband did this. while I was working in addictions, finishing my psychology degree, becoming a therapist. So I had 1 week off. That's all I could afford. From just that, I had 2 days off from my actual job. And I had to go sit with addicts as my husband had just burned our life down. And I was puking every night, could barely eat. And then I had to sit there and go listen to them. But I think that kept me compassionate, empathetic. Even when I was so angry at him, I was hot and cold with him. So I'll admit something that I get a lot of judgment on. I told him to kill himself one day. I was so overwhelmed, and he just kept doing it and stealing more money and hiding. And, oh, you should just kill yourself. At least we get the insurance money, and the kids wouldn't have to live with a loser dad. Try dealing with the guilt of that in school to be a therapist. Man, did I beat myself up for that after, because I was so overwhelmed. But aside
And
from
and
those,
and we both know that that's the mammalian brain coming out, that you
sure,
just are striking. But
sure.
also as we go there, and I do want, so last one little thought of, it was, and the whole JP Morgan thing was, it was less about, because my little 8-year-old self was always like, hey man, it's a team. That's where I felt the team,
Yeah.
right? Like you're talking about talking to your little, and I felt like my team just went like this.
Deserted you.
Yeah, and then I'm like, then as I talk to my therapist, they're like, yeah, Pat, you lost your tribe. You're like a
I did.
leader. You lost your tribe.
Yes.
And you're like, Pat, the only way you're gonna get that back is go build your own.
Go
Which
build your own.
which we're fine now. We're thriving better than we've ever done. But that's not the point. The point is finding
Hold on
yourself.
now. I'm going to slow you down there,
Yeah,
though. We
yeah.
always like to do this as humans. We
I
always have to
slow me
put,
down.
I'm
Slow
going
me
to slow
down.
you down, okay? If I may, because I know you can handle it, all right? We always like to put the rainbow at the end of the tunnel. We always like to but it's greater because I have this. But I would challenge you to sit in that hurt and acknowledge it. Even though you're okay and maybe great things came, that doesn't mean that that didn't hurt and you shouldn't mourn that. You absolutely should mourn that. As you talk about it, it's okay if you're still sad about it, even though it ended well. We love to do this bad thing happened, but silver lining. Sometimes there's just not a silver lining. And that's tough to swallow for us. And I'm not saying yours wasn't, but you might have built this anyways. That might have been pain you had to endure for no reason. And that is uncomfy. We hate ambiguity. We hate a not clean box or inline or this. So I love that you rebuilt yourself. I truly believe that would have happened either way. But you can still be sad about that you lost your
Yeah.
tribe. And
What
your
are you
people.
telling me that both that happened and that's it? Are you
I
using the both
just
and?
maybe. I just
No,
maybe.
you're right. And just so you know this, and the audience can know, is I'm still going through a lot of that. Now I've mourned it. You deny it in anger and you bargain, and then finally I accept it. However, it still lights a fire in my
I was
ass.
like, you know what I'm gonna say, right?
I was like, hey, it's like,
Acceptance is
oh
a
man,
good one. They
don't
don't go in order.
that's just say, don't put me back in the game. As I say to
That's
Jill
right.
often, I feel like I've gotten back in the race, but it's
Yeah.
the marathon, but now I'm riding a bike and they're running. So
Yeah.
anyway, I love that. It's great. So many different things. You and me could stay on that alone subject for the rest of the
I
time.
know.
So you talk about holding two truths, right?
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about that, if you don't mind.
Yeah. It's our least favorite thing to do as humans. Again, we know the innate reason for it, but to truly appreciate anything in life, relationships, anything about yourself, self-discovery, discovery in others, you have to be willing to hold two truths. So I work a lot with couples as well. And yes, the irony is not lost on me. Addictions and couples, right? Here
No,
we
it's
are.
who better, like I would just say, who better to someone who's been through it.
Yeah.
Yes, you know the theory and the science behind it, but you also know real life.
Real life.
Yes, sign me up. I want somebody who's
Yeah.
been, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So a lot with couples and anything, right? It could be mothers, daughters, any relational is you have to be willing to accept that both truths are correct. Your lens and her lens, right? Because she's seeing it through hers, you're seeing it through yours. That is your reality, right? There is some factual in there. So one of my favorite people, he says, if your spouse is saying something and it is 70% correct, don't argue the details. Listen to the hurt behind it. right? Because we love to get caught up in it was, no, it wasn't. It was 10:30 on a Tuesday. No, it wasn't. It was the day after Christmas at noon. It was sunny. No, it wasn't. It wasn't raining. Why do we do that? Because if we nitpick at the details, we don't have to listen to the hurt underneath. We don't have to address the root cause. We don't have to face that we may have accidentally hurt someone. That's so frustrating because that wasn't what we meant, but you're not attuning to the other person. You're not hearing them. So often I'm like, your truth, your perspective is true. And so is this person's. A really hard concept for people is feelings don't have to be true. Feelings don't have, they're not facts, right? So you hurt me. You literally cannot argue that. You cannot. You hurt me. Now, I'm not saying you intended to, and I'm not saying you're wrong. Men, no offense, Pat, men usually, not often, right? Not always, immediately hear I'm bad, or I did bad, or I did wrong, or I'm not enough. And she's saying, I'm hurt. Will you join me in my hurt? But instead, you're like, I didn't do anything. This is just the protector, the fixer. You just need to join the other person.
Why are we like that, Sarah? Why do we want to fix them so
Well,
quick?
inner fixers and evolutionary, right? That's helpful. You are evolutionary that hits. If you just wanted to sit around and talk about feelings, you're not going to go kill an animal, right? There's evolutionary purposes for all of this. But I always want to tell, if I could tell men one thing, I teach my couples, I teach my women to say to him, please don't fix me. I just need you to be with me. I'm going to share my feelings. Don't fix them, be with them. This is how I'm feeling. Men do great if you take that expectation away. We just have to disarm you by saying, Pat, I don't want a solution. I just want you to hear about my shitty Monday at work and I just want to vent. Okay. Or there's always the both and option. I want you to hear me first, and then can we work on a solution together? So I work with my men to disarm, but my women to communicate because that's their natural. We can't be mad at them for what is natural, but we have the ability to listen to each other and grow. But both perspectives are technically correct, right? It's your truth.
Yes. Yes. And again, because Jill is all knowing and
I love Jill.
yeah, she's ridiculous. We talk a lot about I know enough to be dangerous, so I say, okay, babe. And again, when I say babe, it's a term of endearment. I'm not being
Sure.
sexist.
Love
Again,
me some
so-
babe.
You,
Okay.
you know what I
That's
mean?
like,
Come on,
yes,
like back
come
in
on.
honey, babe. It's
Yes,
just not
yes.
being demeaning. She'll say, I'm like, honey, are we venting? Are we looking for a solution? And then now we have that
Mm.
back and forth where I'm like, hey, I'm here for you. And then she's
Yeah.
like, yeah, Pat, just let me get this out. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm here.
Yep. Yeah.
You know,
So
now that's a fine line, right? We got to be careful because it's like, what you don't want to, because it's like,
you don't want to hear my manly solutions? You don't think I can
Exactly,
fix it for
exactly.
you? How dare you? And so,
mansplaining it.
but Pat, what are you saying to her in those moments?
I sincerely try to Chris Voss it.
No,
The last three.
you need to fix it, what are you implicitly saying to her? Not on purpose, but what are you implicitly saying?
Oh, if I try to say, "Do I'm fixing it?"
No, but like when you're like, but I have a solution. Why wouldn't you want my solution? What are you implicitly saying to her that she's
Okay.
not capable of finding her own?
Yeah. No, you're right,
Right?
and I that's where our kind of
You need my manly brain to fix this instead of,
you know,
or and it's not just men, right? This is a typical dynamic, but it can happen in a mother-daughter, right? It can happen in that, like the mom knows best always, and the daughter is like, hi, I'm 30 years old and I'm with this and this and this. I just want my mom to mom me. So this is not exclusively for couples, right? I just want you to see me and be with me and let me be human, right? Let me be messy. It used to drive me crazy when I'd come home and vent to my husband before all of our big drama, right? Come home and vent to my husband. He would always see the other person's side, but immediately I was like, just let me be a bitch for 5 minutes and then we can arrive there.
yeah.
Just have my back for 5 minutes and tell me she was bitchy. And then like when I've calmed down, like we can come around to how maybe she was X, Y, or Z. So you're implicitly saying you need me. And I know you want to be needed, but if you first see her, then she's open to it. But you're also coming along and doing it together. Every woman has said in some relational dynamic, usually with their husband, literally almost word for word after I spent some time with them is, I don't feel like they see me. I feel unseen. I just wish he would see me. And that comes from slowing the fuck down and listening and not fixing. That's how you see her. Notice if she curled her hair that day. Don't just plow into the day what we're doing. Women need to be seen. When women are seen, then they appreciate you and they admire you. They need to be admired. So it's a cyclical cycle. It's slow
Yeah.
down, be with her, listen to her. Not to get into this, but intimacy is the same. Any couple that's not being intimate, the man's frustrated. I'm like, oh, cool. What's your interaction like during the day?
Yep.
Yeah. Are you connecting during the day? Is she doing dishes and dinner and bedtime and bath and all this alone? Doesn't sound like that put me in the mood, right? Like
Yeah.
you have to slow things down. But every human interaction, we're literally saying, do you see me and are you safe? Am I safe with you? That's literally every human interaction.
Yeah. And uh, I gotta have Jill on one of these days, or just
Please do. Jill and
coach me.
I'm like, I'm gonna come take Jill out
Yeah,
to dinner. We're gonna chat.
Jill knows this too, because it comes out of me, because I found my person, and you just know when you do.
Yeah.
And one thing I will harken back to what you said was, like you said, it's Dr. Marty Casey was on. She said, it's Maya Angelou said, it's not what you did, it's how you made him feel.
Yes.
And another one I wanted to talk about real quick, just to come back to, is we think we have these bad thoughts. We like, hey, this person's a you know what, or even taking one's life, right? But
Yeah.
you can't control the first thought.
Thank you. I was like, let's preach, Pat, preach.
Again,
People
this is
get so
all
upset
from
themselves.
AA, right? This is all from AA.
Yeah.
But
Oh, okay.
you can control what you do with the second thought.
From there. Yes.
Yeah.
And so people are really shocked that I'm willing to admit as a therapist that I told my husband to kill himself. Now, I wasn't proud that I told him, right? This is not justifying that, but I should have kept that thought to myself, taken a breath, eaten, and slept. Okay, obviously. But every human, I've been a coach and a therapist and a human long enough, has good and bad thoughts. Every single one has selfish thoughts of money, or I wish I could have, I should just start over so another woman would worship me, or even your kids. Their kids so much easier. This mother, I wish I had this. It's every best friends, even sometimes, right? Thoughts don't make you bad. So when I slow it down, thoughts are a reaction in the moment to your experience in the moment. In the moments are key. You are simply interpreting, right? You're
Yeah.
interpreting your experience in that moment, but you're also doing it through a lens of that moment. So exhaustion, this, that. I always tell people, please don't believe all your thoughts. Don't believe all your thoughts, right? You, the quintessential you, not to get too deep, is who am I then if I'm not my thoughts? You are what you choose to do with those thoughts. That is who you are. So it's not the initial thought that pops up. We cannot control that. It's what you choose to do. So if I had been a better, higher version of myself in that moment, I would have had that thought. I would have closed my fat trap. I would have known that I need a break from him, a breather from the kids, some food and a rest. That would have been the ideal, right? But that is not. But I did repair. I did go to him and say, no human should ever say that. And I'd be lost without you and the kid, whether we work out or not. Repair is another really left out thing. We are all going to fuck up, right? This is a
Yep.
huge parental thing that I deal with. Parents are so afraid to tell their kids they're sorry. Gosh, I'm the first one to tell my kids I'm sorry, all because we're human. But repair is one of the most beautiful things we can do. In fact, most relationships are in a constant state of a little bit of break and repair. There's not that ton where we're perfectly even keeled and perfectly aligned. It's continually one up and down, up and down. But is there repair? Repair is beautiful and strengthens relationships when done right. I will go to my kids like that and say, I took something out on you, no but. Even though there was a but, right? He did X, Y, and Z. But if I'm going to come to repair, I'm going to say to him, I'm going to say to my son, you did not deserve to be spoken to that way. I'm sorry. Will you forgive me? And he said, it's okay, mommy. And I said, it's not actually. And I want you to remember that. It's never okay for anyone to talk to you that way, including me. And he was like, oh. And I was like, and please forgive me. There should be no but you did this, but you did that. That's later. The next time you can sit down and talk about expectations and how we treat. But if you're going to repair, there's no room for but in the repair.
I love it, because it's another lesson is, if you've had 1%, again, like you were talking about with the 70,
Yep.
like the 70-30,
Yep.
even if you've had 1% something to do with something you had something to do with it. So then make amends for it, ask for forgiveness. And again, I think if our kids see that, and I have
Yeah.
no trouble enforcing, like
Yeah.
I think that the new thing is trad dad. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's always something new all the time.
He's tried. I love all these trends. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know. But also,
Well, Pat, you'll love that I'm a trad dad too, because I'm an
yeah.
enforcer.
What what do you say? Because I get this a little bit that Jill will look at me or someone will look back at me and be like, you know better. Are you using one of your techniques on me? You know what I
So this
mean?
is okay. So this is so funny. In one of my trainings, we talked about this. I did a
Yeah.
year-long deep training. Okay. And it was some pretty deep shit. Part of my French. It was awesome. And so I meet myself and we're talking, and I was like, I know what you're doing. And he was like, cool. What are you going to choose to do with it? Are you going to let it work for you? Or are you going to fight it? My response to that is, who fucking cares?
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
Is it going to work in the moment? Who cares? Do you want me to, what I'm hearing, Pat, is you cared enough to pause and choose how you're going to respond. If there's a framework there or a system, good for you. Because the majority of the damage we do is our instant reaction, is our autopilot. If you have a framework that you do, my husband, I know he wouldn't care because I could talk about anything on this podcast and on social media. So I know he wouldn't care. It is so hard for him to understand feelings and see other people's feelings. He has to sit like a second grader and take a deep breath and say, I see how you're feeling, and I can see why you're feeling that way. Like
Yeah.
literally. And at first, I'll be honest, I was annoyed by it. Like, why is it so hard for you to see my feeling and be kind to me? And now I cherish it because I'm like, look how hard this is for him. And he's doing that for me, for us. He is putting himself in that so uncomfortable spot to make me feel seen. And now I will sit there and smile through it. Not every time, but the majority of the time. So what I'm hearing is you're using a framework. I would encourage Jill to say, wow, my husband cares enough to use a framework to make sure he sees me properly.
I'll be sure to cut everything else
Yeah,
out.
yes.
And just
And
focus
don't
on
say
this.
everything else when I said Jill was right.
Yeah,
Just that.
Just that. Just that. Before we go on, I
Yeah.
want to say it for one last minute or two, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
I see, again, it could be a 25-year-old, a 35-year-old, a 45-year-old, a 55-year-old, 65, 75. They're now coming to me and saying, hey, Pat, what do you see here? Or what do you, like my wife or my kids? And what I see is the mindset of those thoughts, the mindset they're like, I'm just not emotionally intelligent. They're not saying emotional intelligence
I love this.
because they don't know, but they're like, my wife's here, but I'm trying hard here. And I'm like, I call it the drive to the mall theory. If my wife says, hey, can we go to the mall? And you like, sure, let's get in the car. And she sits in the car and like, I guess we're going to the mall. And you're like, well, if you don't want to go, no, you said we're going to the mall. And the guy's telling me, Pat, I took her to the mall. I'm like, yeah, but you were the worst
Attitude about going to the mall.
Yeah, exactly. So does she ever gonna ask you to do that again? No.
No. Okay, I love this.
Tell me
I love
about
this
how you're
so
gonna
much.
you help us caveman brain men help with emotional intelligence.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So this is, I'm going to be really direct with you on this.
Good.
Love you guys. This is the biggest motherfucking excuse of all time.
Yes.
I'm not emotionally intelligent, period. Babe, skills and identity are flexible, movable, changeable, rebuildable. They are not flat. You did not know how to manage wealth. You did not know how to walk. You did not know how to ride a bike. You did not know many things. But because it mattered to you, you put in the time and effort. I'm actually contemplating, so maybe you can take a poll for me, genuinely contemplating an emotional intelligence course for men, because what I will give them is it's not innate in them. It is uncomfortable for them. But if you cared, you would do it. You would be uncomfortable for it. And it's pretty telling when you say, this is how I am. Of course, because then it abates all responsibility. So the wife or whoever, the son in turn can be like, cool, who I am is fucking pissed at you permanently. And so that's just who I am. I'm pissed at people who aren't emotionally intelligent. That's just me as a human, as a person. It's silly, But I get it. They've also had that beaten in. Society loves to think that men are emotionally unintelligent. I actually think you have the emotional intelligence. You need the safety to try it out. You need the safety to know that if I'm emotionally intelligent, I'm not any less of a man. I'm not a softie. I'm not a this. I'm not a that. Like the kids, right? You said, oh, I'm an enforcer. Great. So am I. That is not impressive. What is impressive is as the enforcer, can you go be vulnerable, right? Like you've
Yes.
got that on down. Everyone is capable of emotional intelligence, but it is not innate. It is not innate. But you're moldable. Your whole this is my whole I love identities are not chosen. They're continued, right? You continue what you already know unless you give a crap enough to pause it down and slow it down and pause it and decide what you want it to be. People take on what they think is their personality, and this is really hard for people. It's very hard for me when I went through my own healing originally. 99% of your personality ain't your personality. It's old coping mechanisms or things you learned through your life as a response to hard things and trauma, i.e., you don't have to hold on to any of the ones that don't serve you anymore. Personality is fluid, changeable, programmable, choosable.
And and I appreciate you sharing that from a therapist standpoint, because it's so hard that I see people revert back. And again, that's not a judgment. That's just
Yeah.
a test score. They'll revert back because they're going back to protect themselves. That's all. That's really all they know. I would tell you this: do the emotional course, but
I think that might be the
I'll,
push I need.
I'll tell you this: but us men, we want to gamify it. So now you go to like school and you're like,
Yeah.
hey, George, hey man, I'm at 101.
Yeah.
You're at
Yeah.
23. So now you gamify it all these
Yeah.
lessons. Look, I went
Oh
through
yeah.
Sarah's course, sit with Sarah's course, and I'm at
Yeah.
101. So
You're over there in the beginner's phase here, but
exactly.
well,
Exactly.
and not to be some grandiose person here or anything, but I believe if we can get a large portion of men to gain some emotional intelligence and women some patience while they gain it, we change the whole world. Because if you think about most of our conflicts and problems are because we didn't have that. And that's not a slam on our parents. They didn't have the awareness. They didn't have the education. They didn't have the opportunities. But if our generation could sit here and slow marriages down and parenting down and become emotionally intelligent and we all come out secure and safe, not that we'll be perfect. Imagine the domino effect of that. Absolutely. I already know the domino effect of just my children.
Yes.
I see my children doing it to other people. In fact, one of the times when I lost my mind, was bawling my eyes out, couldn't hide it from the kids. I usually did. I used to program me to wake up between 3:30 and 4 to cry for a half hour before I started my day because I didn't get to
Oh,
collapse, right? I had to keep moving. I had 3 jobs to put food on the table. So I'd wake up specifically to do that. But it was one of the times it hit me. I couldn't control it. I'm bawling. And my little son comes up to me and sits next to me. He says, it's okay to have your feelings, mommy. I'm here with you. Just have them. I don't think anything has ever made me more proud as a mother in the entirety of my life, right? Because that's what I had done to him. Now imagine when he's going to do that to his kids and his wife. What is the outreach on that?
yes.
I know that's maybe a bit grandiose, but emotional intelligence is at the heart of changing the world, honestly.
No, it's everything. And I will tell you this, and I shouldn't say enforcer as much as it's boundaries, right? And this is
Yes.
me projecting, but I will always be like, this is the why. This is the what
Love
can
it.
happen. This
Love
is
it.
the love. And Thomas Blackwell was my performance coach of mine for a while, and we still keep in touch. And he wrote the book Liberty of Our Language, which it's instead of get down now, or so say like a young toddler,
Yeah.
like a 5-year-old's dancing on the table. It's
Yeah.
like we could say get down
Yeah.
now, or we could say, hey, you know what? I love the fact that you're dancing. Keep dancing, but
Keep
I
dancing
don't.
on the floor.
Yep, but I don't want you to hurt yourself. We got to dance on the flow.
Yeah. Right.
So
But
you're right.
what a difference in the two, Pat. Like we laugh and giggle about it, but what a difference in the two. And one is he's seeing the care, the concern, and boundary. By the way, kids love boundaries and rules.
Love them.
Love them. As much as they roll my eyes on a Thursday, they love that because that's safety. That's consistency. They know what to expect. They actually prefer that. They'll never give us the the joy of telling us that, but it's proven. Boundaries are beautiful. That's what makes you safe. That's what makes you a safe father is that you have boundaries. But again, it's not either or. I have boundaries and or enforce or be
Mhm.
vulnerable. That is the mix that makes you wonderful fathers, the mix of the two. And so much of society loves to put us in a box. What are me? I love this. I'm the girliest girl on the planet. But I'm also the manliest man that I know. Okay. I have done all man trades. I have done roofing. I've done med device. I can rock a tie. I always joke that my balls are definitely bigger than half the men's out there. The world doesn't know what to do with me. I'm a therapist, but I say, fucking, I don't wear a cardigan. Like, why do we have to be one or the other? I'm all those things.
Yeah, I love it, and you should, and we should celebrate it, and we should. And
Right.
actually, I think it's a great thing. Like with Jordan, I'm sure that's what he loves most about you. It's the
I
fact
mean,
of,
I hope that's one of them.
yeah, that's why. And I will tell you this, and I'm vulnerable about this, is I'm not proud of the decisions I made when, me and my daughter's her mom, it just didn't work out, right? The young couple got married for the reasons having a child, and but I loved her to this day so deeply, and I created that divisiveness, right? And
Mm.
my daughter's 17, and it's it still sits in my heart. Jill has an 8-year-old and a 5-year-old, and I cherish them, and I'm still trying to repair that relationship. So even though if I had to define myself as, yes, I'm a good father, I bet you my daughter that's 17 probably wouldn't say that.
So you're saying you're both?
Yes, and it's tough. It's
Yeah.
tough, and
You're
you
both a good
want,
father and you let someone down as a father. You're both.
oh, don't make me tear up.
Mm.
So
Can I give you a
it's
teeny bit of advice on that that you didn't ask for? Just a free 99?
you do please do.
Okay. For your older daughter, I'm sure you have, but take full responsibility. Acknowledge that you didn't show up for her and how sad you are you didn't show up for her. And then make space for her feelings and let her know they're all okay. Anger, this and that, and that you were there no matter what she feels and no matter what her timeline, you're there for her. And you're going to take this response. I'm going to come to you and acknowledge I wasn't the father to you that I wanted to be or that you may see me being with the kids now. That breaks me, but this isn't about me. What does that feel like for you?
and
What
and
did
and
you
like
need in the
it,
moment?
and both, and because this is probably my most sensitive topic, it's because I look at all of the pictures and all the videos that we've ever had, and it was definitely a turning point when, like, her early teens. So it was that period of time,
Yeah.
but before that you start to say, how did she feel, or what? You don't know, right? Both, and
But
it's
how do
like
you get to
that.
know, Pat?
What's that?
There is a way to know. How would that be?
I know that is a whole other episode, right?
Whole
And
other episode.
yeah,
Whole other episode.
you go through all of the things of trying, and but you're right. Basically, what you just said is it's the space.
It's
It's the
it's the
space.
without expectation. It's I'm
Yes.
having this conversation not to make me feel better or so that you come back in my life. This is for you. Even if you don't have space for me because of it, I just want you to know I'm here in any capacity, in any timeline, whenever you're ready. But I need you to know you deserved better. And you can't even go into them, but that's not the space for it. I know they're there and it's context. She doesn't need context. She needs space to feel any of her feelings. And I'm there. There you go. It's my free 99. I know it's complicated
I
and
love it.
nuanced, but you can't go
So,
wrong with that.
yeah. So that's a perfect segue, because I felt guilt and shame on that, and several other things. I'm just not. I think that's a great thing by being raised by a very loving mother.
Yeah.
And just to go back that to a second, and I know that you felt similar to that when you're on the floor of that apartment.
Yeah.
We were in an apartment that she wasn't fond of. Yeah, we grew up with not a lot when she didn't have child support. But I'll tell you this, when we first got our a house, not just, it was like, I think it was in Danville, Illinois. I think it might have been $24,000.
Love
I
that for you. You should have kept that.
I know, right? And I remember there's this turquoise carpet, Sarah,
Okay.
and my mom had a Domino's pizza, and we
Mhm.
brought a bunch of, it was me, my brother, and her. I don't know, I think I was probably 9. My brother was 12, and my mom had to be 37. I can't imagine. We're sitting there at 10 o'clock at night. My mom's wrapping all of us up. We're laughing. There's a
Mhm.
Domino's pizza, and we might as well have had it's like the Mexican fisherman story. You don't
Yeah.
need anything else. Why do I need to go get boats and fish and all that? I'm
Yeah.
already having this. It's the art of it. It's the science of achievement, the art of fulfillment. We're so fulfilled in that moment. That love right there is everything I said. I saw my mom's eyes. She cried, and
Yeah.
so
Connection.
it's the perspective of it. So many
Yeah.
people can't get over that perspective of just like food, clothing, shelter, to get
Yeah.
out of that, to let their brains expand a little bit. So I say that
Yeah.
to say this because as you can tell, I feel shame still about the
But Pat,
relationship.
if I may offer you after that, my other free 99 is you did the best you could in that moment. And that's true. And even if it wasn't good, right? In that moment, for whatever reason, you weren't able to show up because your capacity at that time was what it was. And so that is not to justify it for her, but shame does you no good. I would challenge you to find compassion for yourself in that moment while also holding her pain, because both again are true. But how old were you, Pat?
40, ugh, 45, Sarah, old
When
man.
your daughter was younger?
Oh, how old was I? I was,
Yeah.
what was it? I was 37, 36, 37.
Yeah. That's like in dog years with boys, right? With men. Okay. You were a baby, you're a teenager. Okay. We have to go dog years with men. But the reality is you had your own struggles inside. And doesn't make it fair to her, but it also doesn't turn those away. Doesn't mean you weren't
Yeah.
struggling your own. Doesn't mean that you didn't want to show up for her differently. Also, it's a long life. It's a long life. You never know what 5 years from now holds. Because again, it's not your timeline, but you never know if you continue to show up consistently and selflessly only for hers. You don't know what comes of it. And it may never. And this is something I actually deal with because I'm not a rainbow at the end. It may never, but then you know that you still live by your values of showing up. And it's on her journey for that. But the shame, that doesn't serve you. The perspective, the guilt, so you don't do it moving forward, that serves you.
Well, do you see why everybody she's here today? Because I didn't know this is going to be a, Dr.
Sorry,
Spencer.
Pat, I can't help
That's good.
myself. You can take the therapist out of the therapy
Yeah.
room. But
Yeah, that's right. So I guess, again, one of my questions I was going to have for you is, so how does shame actually show up for people? And why do people repeat these patterns even if they understand them?
shame shows up sneakily. It's not out there. It shows up in all those little moments, right? In all, like for you, I saw you. Okay, your whole body posture went inward when you spoke about it. You were a very like proud, confident person, especially on here, and you're like this, even with your hands. And when you talked about that, you cocooned.
God, and I know that
Look how
too.
you're sitting now, right? What
I
is this?
know.
Self
And I
reflection.
and I know that too. Your body, like Chase Hughes, you cover up your ribs, you cover up and that's the thing, you can't help it. You can't
You can't
help it.
help it. You can know you can't help it, but the people don't stay stuck because they don't know better. They stay stuck because that's what feels like them, right? This is familiarity. This is what they used to. So if all it took was insight for change, every therapist coach out there would sit you down, listen to you, and be like, okay, here's why you do what you do, which we don't do. We lead you to the water. Why? Because you have to have safety inside. And this is the part people don't like. How do you build safety? By very slowly dipping your toe into that new thing, right? But when my husband sits there and shakes and says, I can see why you feel that way, and he doesn't die, right? Our nervous system is a dramatic bitch, okay? It literally tells you you're gonna die over anything new, literally. So I have my clients and coaching and therapy clients, I'm not even joking, when I have them try something new, I have them say to themselves out loud after, see, we didn't die. Your brain literally needs acknowledgement because anything new, because new in the past meant bad, right? Think about berries. One berry is delicious. The other one's going to kill George over there. Okay. So
Yeah.
anything new is scary. So I literally make you cognitively say, we did that and I didn't die because you're training your brain. It's not because people don't have awareness. Right now, we have awareness in abundance. Cool, cool. People have breakthrough sessions with me, turn around and 5 seconds later do the same thing. Why? Because it's a well-worn road. It's okay. You are not going to get insight and change every time you choose differently. You give your brain just another option, right? I know we use this, we overuse this. It truly is like the gym. It takes reps and reps and reps and months. And that's why people continue to go to therapy or coaching. So we continue because our shame is so sneaky. We'll fix it here with your daughter, right? All of a sudden it'll show up over here where you don't even recognize it because it backdoors it, right? It's going to come around here. You're looking over here? Cool. I'm going to make you feel it over here. And that is the purpose of coaches and therapists, is to evolve, but just evolve, not to change you, just to bring that safety while we walk through it together.
I love that word because, okay, go back to Jill, is like she's a project manager for a corporation, and everything's linear. Everybody wants linear. Like
Yeah.
this linear, like we got to do this, and this habits
Yeah.
every single day, stacked on habits. I'm like, no, it's that agile methodology, right? It's agile. You may take a step sideways, a step back to go 3 forward. And
Or 3 back to go 1 forward sometimes.
yep. So what I would say, like, what are you doing as far as a therapist that for the awareness to create change, but more importantly, explain why for us humans, we feel safer when something's worse for us.
Okay. It's not because it's worse for you. It's because it's familiar. Okay. Again, to bring it back to the origins, ancient times. Familiar means tested, means no death. Back to the berries.
Say
Back
that one
to
more time. Say it one more time.
familiar means you've survived it. Okay. Your brain, okay, I say this all the time. Your brain doesn't give a flying fuck if you are happy. Does not care if it's better for you. Your brain has one job, and that's to keep you alive. Alive, not thriving. Okay. So even if it's horrible for you, if you've survived it, I know I can survive this. I've survived it before. This is familiar. Okay. Again, back to the berries. One could be poisonous and one can be delicious. At least the one, or let's say it's tart and it's horrible. We hate it. Let's go there. This berry is actually the worst thing ever. Okay. It makes me puke, but I survive it. That's a better analogy, right? This berry always makes me puke, but I don't die. And then there's this new one over here. Could be good for us, could be bad, but I could die. Which one are you going to choose? You're going to choose the puking one, even though the puking is uncomfortable, even though it gives you a stomach ache, even though it's bitter, even though you don't like it. I'm going to survive it. New, that's why I say your nervous system is dramatic bitch. It literally tells you we might die. So every time you go to break your pattern with your Jill or your daughter or your coworker or this, your brain's literally saying, your nervous system is saying, we might not survive this. We might die. So that's why I say we need safety. Okay. And safety is bringing it to me in a session without judgment, slowing it down.
Okay. That's what I say. Like, how do we
Safety
take it? Yeah. How do we take that from, this again, let's just take the guys. Let's work on the guys today. Right?
Sure.
Let's look in the mirror. So how do we take it from that deep rooted to I could feel safe and I could touch it? Because us guys, we want something tangible.
Yeah.
Man, we want it now. So
Yeah.
is that it's just kind of like that
So-
slow identity shift?
Do you also want a unicorn?
There you go. Yeah.
So that's exactly what I was talking about earlier. And I say they come to me with a list of what they want to change. And I say, I'm probably not your therapist, right? Because I'm not here to change you because I don't think you're broken. All right. I don't think you're broken, Pat. I'm here to slow things down and see why that felt safe at one time. And we can't attach that's no longer really creating safety for you, and to create some accountability. So you do come back and tell me so we can, right? Accountability is a very real thing. And if you're a therapist, doesn't piss you off sometimes, you have the wrong therapist.
Yes.
Because it is our job. So therapy. So one of the things I dislike about therapy, one of the reasons I'm also a coach, because is that we can just validate. I could just if you are continuing the dynamic, right, with your daughter, and I can just validate for you why you're doing that. Well, but you're doing that because it makes you feel safe and it's familiar. But if I don't push you to go reach out to her at least one time and say this and take it, you don't have the right therapist or coach, because they're equally important, validation and safety. But we're gonna push you, but we're gonna titrate it. I'm talking things you don't know I'm talking. Your body posture, your inflection, your this, your eyebrow, your that. Okay, now's not the time. We're not going to touch on this right now. We've already pushed him to his capacity of safety. We're going to reel it back. So we're doing all these things behind the scenes. But when you are ready, when I see 3 sessions from now we're going to push it just a little, but then I'm going to support you with it. And then there's accountability in it. So you're going to come back and tell me how'd that go for you when you tried the new way of talking to Joe. I fucked it up. Okay, cool. Let's see why. What can we do differently? Is there a way we can establish it? Can we send her a text ahead of time that we're going to have a talk so we have time to slow it down? We're always going to sit here and mold and change.
Yeah.
But there ain't no tangible Sarah works. Check that off my list. I am no longer X, Y, and Z. And that's what everyone wants, right? And who wouldn't? It is the GLP of mental fitness. I can just inject myself and be done.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
Are you talking about those GLP-1 peptides? Come
Yeah.
on, Sarah.
yeah. Unfortunately, you have to eat right, work out, and do it consistently.
Oh my gosh, you have to eat, work out. Does that really work? Does that?
Same thing with the
Yeah.
brain. You
I
got to
know.
do it. You got to do it consistently.
So and I know that we're winding down here. We got about another 10 minutes. I mentioned it just briefly a second ago. Where does identity come to all this, Sarah?
Where does it come from?
No, where does it come into play with all of this?
Oh,
Identity.
every single thing we do is based off of who we think we are. Every single thing we do, every decision we make, every autopilot we're on is tied to identity. That's why the work I do is so identity level. I'll give you an example concretely. I didn't used to work out. I was a skinny ass bitch my whole life, could eat burgers and Taco Bell and be fine. Shifted in my upper 30s, right? And I was like, oh, don't recognize this girl, don't like it. I'm going to start working out. Wasn't a morning person, wasn't a working out person. When I decided I was going to be, I told every person on the planet, I get up every day at 5 and work out. I get up every day at 5. Why did I do that? Because I was making it a part of my identity.
Yeah.
That is who I decided I was before I ever was that. Because until I could attach it to my identity, I'm relying on will. And guess what? We all run out of willpower and motivation. Mental health is the same. We work at the identity level. Okay, where did that come from in you? Let's understand where it came from so we can not shame it. So we can be curious with it. So we can understand, hey, but guess what? The good news is we can choose differently. You're not stuck there, right? It doesn't have to be. What I say about my whole living Cheryl life blowing up, a little pep talk he probably didn't need from me. I gave my husband is he blew up every identity. He's a strong Christian like you, will not swear, this and that. How can you do this to your family? Is there anything more earth shattering than that? And I was sitting here with him when he was crumbled on the floor, and he said, "You're in a beautiful position." And he looks at me like, "Bitch, shut up. What are you saying? Why, right? What are you talking about?" And I said, "You get everything stripped away. Everything you knew about you is stripped away. You get to choose. Who are you?" He says, "I don't know." Great, you don't have to know. You get to choose who you are. So sit down. I printed out a list of values for him. Go read these. Who do you decide you are? And then make decisions from those, not your feelings. We make decisions based off our values and we deal with the feelings. Too many people make decisions based off their feelings.
Yes, and I will say this, and again, not to talk about myself once you share that,
No.
is I
I love
do.
this.
That's why I haven't met him, and I already respect him so much because with all of the Bible verses out there, the Japanese proverb or the Japanese sayings of you fall down 7, you get up 8. But what I would like to add to that would be the character really does reveal itself in the worst times. So what you do when you have $10 in your bank account, let's say, because I know that was what my identity was tied to, because I wanted to feel that protection because I didn't grow up with it. I'm like, I'm never gonna feel like that. That shit
Same.
ain't happening.
That's why it hurt me so bad, because he knows that's my ultimate fear in life is being poor.
Yeah.
So I know you lost it all, but who were you with $10 in your account, Pat?
Yeah. And I'll tell you who I was. I had $1,000 in my account, and I gave away 10% of it. And that was a coincidence, not saying like tithing. Someone needed a couple $100. I think I gave them $150. So if somebody has $100 million, it's like me going, here's $150,000. So I knew in that moment, that's who I am. And that's what I'm proud of. And I'm like, it
That's who
doesn't.
you chose to be too, Pat, by the way.
Yeah.
That didn't have to, by the way, that didn't have to be your instinct. What if that wasn't your instinct? That's okay too. You
Yes,
can
you're
choose to
right.
be that person. Not that you do. I'm just for people who that doesn't come naturally, they go to I'm a bad person. It's okay if that's not your instinct. Be that person. Like I was telling my husband, it's like living in a house your whole life. And then you find out the foundation is shit. It's not solid. Do you redecorate or do you tear that bitch down and rebuild? You tear the bitch down and you rebuild, right? You can
Yeah.
crush everything, and now you have a clean slate.
Hmm.
What are you going with? What are you going to design? Doesn't
So
matter.
you're saying, so that's why people stay stuck, because they're practicing that same identity.
Because they believe it's fixed. They believe their identity is who they are, right? Most people don't understand it can be fluid, it could be changed, it could be updated. I always say, you're just wearing clothes that are too small for you. Would you go put on your clothes for an 8-year-old? Okay, it doesn't change who you are. They're just too small for you. You're running old programming, right? You're using dial-up internet. Come step into the future. That dial-up internet was great when we needed it, but it's no
Mhm.
longer serving you if you're using dial-up internet. Okay, a little newsflash. That's not serving you. You're just on old programming. But if you're like, that's just who I am. That I'm this. Let's think about it. Myself included. I love to tell people I'm Italian from Chicago, as if that states I'm an Italian from Chicago. That's why I'm this, and this, right? Because
Yeah.
that's programmed into me from my Italian father, who's proud of that. When in reality, I could probably learn to talk a little less. I could probably learn to not say fuck. I don't know if I could not use my hands. That might be pushing it. Okay, but that's muscle memory. We'll chalk it up to muscle memory.
Yeah.
But it's not stuck. You can choose who you are. In fact, my husband's best compliment he gave me one day when I was like, why do you even love me? And he was like, you never stop trying to be better. You're not the person I married at all, in the best way.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, in your phenomenal way, I bet.
But I didn't have attachment to that. I'm Madonna. Don't I wish? I love to reinvent myself. I'm like, fuck it, that didn't work for me. Chuck that. But some people cling and cling and cling, and there's emotional reasons. Maybe it's heritage. Maybe the dad that they loved said they were that way, and that's the way they felt seen by the dad, so they can't release that. And that's the work we do, is get to the core root of why it's your identity. And then I'm not even telling you to keep it or not keep it. I'm not all knowing here. I'm just presenting to you what you can't see. Do you want to keep it?
Because you, and in all fairness to yourself, because you've done the hard work. And that's
Oh, yeah.
okay that you've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars to learn so you can then help. That's okay. That's okay to say, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't, and again, that's not judgment, is I do not prefer to listen to people complain. I prefer to people have a different mindset shift around what is the solution.
Or
And again, with the identity shift, and I will use this for my sports fans out there. Kobe Bryant had a really tough time when he had a couple late game shots where he airballed, but also he had the criminal charge. Of course, he was acquitted of that, but he did commit adultery, and he couldn't look his wife in the face. He loved Vanessa,
yeah.
and as he couldn't get through it, and he went and saw a sports psychologist. He's like, "You need a new identity. He's like, you need to attach to a new identity," and that's where when he just changed from 8 to 24, because it's 3 times better. And then that's when the Black Mamba got invented. And he's like, when you step on that court, when you step on that court, I'm a killer. And that's where that's the day. That's a season he had 62. The season he had 81, and he attributes to it. And then it's also why he got, I think it was an Oscar for his short story, because he's like, I don't care who I am. I'm going to evolve. And I
That's
know
so funny. I have a necklace like this. So my therapist helped me see, because I'm in mid world in business. It's a goddess because I'm girly, but she has a dog. And I love, okay, if you guys follow me, you will see I'm obsessed with my King Cavaliers. I don't even know if I like my children anymore because I'm so obsessed with my King Cavaliers. Okay. They're the cuddliest, sweetest, whatever. And I remember her saying to me, and oh, I just got goosebumps, didn't make the connection until just now, shortly before our life collapsed. And I see my part again. She said, being a bulldog in business serves you. You don't need to be a bulldog at home. And you can be both a bulldog and a King Cavalier. You don't have to choose. But your bulldog is not serving you at home. And if I had brought more of my King Cavalier to my husband sooner, maybe he wouldn't have felt the need to be so large because I was overshadowing him so hard. This may have never happened.
Yeah, it's everything you've said is in line. It's real. It's raw. It's we have to have you on again. So as we as we close this out,
Yeah.
if someone walked out of, let's say, sitting with Sarah, that future self, right?
Yeah.
What would you want to leave them knowing or saying about you?
She saw me. Period. It's all we want, Pat, to be honest. I know it's a bit reductionistic, but all every single human wants is, do you see me, the real me, and not reject me.
Sarah, you've been phenomenal. You've been insightful. You've helped me. I'm looking at the notes of both, and I'm looking at your first thought. I'm looking at, would you tell that? Would you yell at your childhood picture? Just the emotional intelligence. Please build that for us. Please
What
build that
about
for
what about Jill is wrong? I really thought that was gonna be in there. Just
no,
kidding.
Jill, Jill is she's not wrong. She's just waiting for the time to eventually
Yeah.
to
No,
speak
Jill
because
is right, but
because she is.
I just thought that
Yeah.
was definitely gonna be framed in there that Jill needs to
Yeah.
remember I'm awesome. It wasn't that she's wrong. She just needs to realize how awesome I am in that moment.
Yeah. So I appreciate you so much.
Yeah.
Where can people find you?
Sit with Sarah everywhere. Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Sit with Sarah. And my website is just Go Sit with Sarah. So
Okay.
go sit with Sarah.
As when this podcast comes out, we'll ensure that we have links to all of your socials. And I think when people really dive into this, I think you're going to be able to connect with a lot of people. I think a lot of people their lives will not only be changed, but they'll be evolved and they can have that new identity and be seen.
I love it. I love it. Thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Absolutely. God bless, Sarah. We'll talk soon.
Remember, whatever you're pursuing, you don't have to have it all figured out. Just start. Take one action step, have one conversation, and trust that what you need is already within you. This is The Pursuit.